A lot can be said about project management life cycles, but even more about project delivery life cycles. I leave a link to a previous video that explains the relation between these two concepts. But today we will deepen our knowledge on the project delivery life cycle. We will discuss what a project delivery life cycle actually is. We will give you an answer on why you would actually use it on your project and indicate as well how global methods can form the basis for your project delivery life cycle. If you stay around until the end, I will also provide you 4 specific and practical considerations when working with the project delivery life cycle. So stay tuned. Hello fellow project managers, my name is Steven and I'm a certified project management professional with more than 20 years on-field experience in managing both small to large projects. In a project, the concept of a project lifecycle is an important first project management task to structure your project's timeline, also in agile projects. In the beginning of my project management career, I struggled with structuring my projects until I discovered the powers of the project delivery lifecycle. But what is actually a project delivery lifecycle? Well, here we should start with the definition provided to us by the Project Management Institute. In the 6th edition of the Project Management Body of Knowledge, in chapter 1 on page 19, the Institute defines the project lifecycle clearly as the series of phases that a project passes through from its start to its completion. On page 20 of that same edition of the PMBOK, PMI defines a project phase, being the part of the project lifecycle, as a collection of logically related project activities that culminates in the completion of one or more deliverables. In one of our previous videos, we also explained that there were 2 components in the project lifecycle, being the project management lifecycle and the project delivery lifecycle. You don't have to make a choice between one of the 2, that's the good news. They are both required on your project. The project management lifecycle is being used to structure, outline and organize the activities related to project management, whilst the project delivery lifecycle does exactly the same, but for those tasks and activities that are necessary to create the project product or the project result. The main difference between the 2 is that the management lifecycle is quite generic and can be used for almost any kind of project. Once you have created a project management lifecycle where you find yourself comfortable with, you can reuse that all over again on all of your projects. The project delivery lifecycle is different to that matter. It is more specifically related to the project at hand. It needs to be created every single time because of the unique characteristic of the project and the project product. You can start from a template or a certain methodology, which I will recommend by the way, but it will often need tuning, omissions and additions to completely fit your project. Combining the management and the delivery life cycles into one project life cycle is a work of art. As we have already explained in that other video, a standard project management life cycle will consider the following 5 typically phases, going from starting, conceptualizing, realizing, handing over and closing. This will not tell a lot about the delivery approach of that project, so we need to further decompose that, further refine that in a way of speaking. Let me give you an example. When we are talking about an ICT project, the second level decomposition of, for example, the conceptualization phase might look like business requirements, functional analysis, technical analysis, project planning. But for that same conceptualization phase of the project management lifecycle, for a construction project, well, it will sound differently, like pre-design, definitive design, building permit, construction planning. So you will see that further decomposing the project management lifecycle in a delivery lifecycle will make the project more telling to the subject matters. It will create the link with the project product. So why would you use a project delivery lifecycle anyway? The purpose of the project delivery lifecycle is quite identical to the intended objectives for using a project management lifecycle, namely bringing structure to the project's timeline, managing complexity by making the project parts smaller and more manageable, enable better project control points, and organizing specific interactions with senior management of the organization where the project is performed in. often done via so-called go-no-go points in the project management lifecycle to be organized with steering groups. Additionally, we can add that the purpose of the project delivery lifecycle is also to overcome the weaknesses of the project management lifecycle. It will allow you to customize the generic management approach to the unique aspects of the project, to further decompose the project's timeline in smaller and therefore more manageable chunks of work, without already going into too much details right from the start of your project. It will also allow you to make the project and the intended approach more speaking to the subject matter experts and to the project team members. As with the delivery lifecycle, the timeline will be more aligned with the specific situation of the project and the project result. Question now is, how can you easily create a project delivery lifecycle? Well, creating a project delivery lifecycle often starts with a template, often provided by a recognized method. So you should start with choosing the right methods for your project. But there it is very important to understand that there are methods that are more specifically related to managing a project and other methods that are more related to creating a project product. Because of the touching points, however, between project delivery and project management, most methods cover both aspects, but you will find there is always one focus aspect. You can consider, for example, the PMBOK guide and the PRINCE2 method more as the project management methodologies. They will explain you how you can structure and organize your project, but they will not provide you with a lot of details on how you can build a new factory, for example, or how you can develop a software, for example. That is actually the purpose of the delivery methods. And these delivery methods will give you more details on how the project product can be created and what a typical approach would be best fitting to do so. These methods will inspire you on which specific tasks and activities you actually need to undertake to realize the end result of your project. But they will give you not a lot of detail on how you have to manage that collection of tasks. That is again the purpose of the management methods. For software development, often the following methods could be used as a basis for designing your project approach and your project delivery life cycles. Scrum and Agile software development as iterative methods, whilst software development lifecycle, so-called SDLC, and most proprietary ERP implementation methods are rather waterfall or linear approaches. But next to these software development methods, you also have specific methods related to a certain subject matter. For example, for testing, there is the so-called V model, or for change enablement, you could consider the ADKAR method. In fact, you can find methods for almost any subject matter or discipline. Think about construction methods, process engineering methods, research and development, and so on. You will even note that for one project it is worthwhile to consider to implement a combination of different project delivery methods and their life cycles. Let's be honest, how many ICT projects do you know that doesn't require testing or that doesn't require change management next to the development of the software itself? Or what if you have to combine, for example, an industrial machinery construction project with ICT technology development? So it is obvious that you will need a combination of different delivery methods and their life cycles and combine that in one management approach for your project. Choosing the right project delivery method is one of the main tasks of the project manager in the beginning of the project. And hopefully when you're confronted with that decision, you include some subject matter experts in that decision making. Once you have decided then which methods are relevant for your project, you can start designing your project approach, including the project management and the project delivery life cycles. Now, to conclude this video, I like to provide you with 4 practical considerations you should take into account when designing your project delivery life cycle. The first consideration is to make a wise and conscious choice which delivery method you will use for your starting basis for creating the project delivery lifecycle. You better not make that choice on yourself, but include also subject matter experts into that decision making, as I already mentioned before. A second consideration is to always make an early decision whether you would use a linear or waterfall approach versus an agile or iterative approach. Both approaches have pros and cons, but depending on your project situation, one would fit better than the other. Some project types will benefit even more from one approach, the linear approach for example, than the other, for example the iterative. Take a construction project. It will less benefit from an agile approach than an ICT project. If you have to pour concrete and you're doing an agile approach, and in the agility it would prove that you need something else, concrete is very difficult to remove. So typically construction projects will use a more linear approach. I leave a link to an old video of mine on making a choice between using waterfalls or using agile approaches. A third consideration: always customize the chosen method and its proposed delivery lifecycle to the unique aspects of the project and the project product. A one-size-fits-all solution does not exist in project management. The fourth consideration is not really mandatory, but highly recommended to keep things as simple as possible. Try to align the project delivery lifecycle with the project management lifecycle. Try not to have delivery lifecycle phases run beyond the phase ends of the management lifecycle. For example, all the delivery lifecycle phases should have a latest end date that is equal to or less than the end date of the project management phase it belongs to. As always, our small disclaimer. The information is practical oriented and intended for practical usage on your projects. It is not intended to prepare for the PMP exam. PMI and PMBOK are registered trademarks and copyrighted. You can find more information on their website www.pmi.org. I hope you enjoyed these practical tips and tricks on the concept of project life cycles and that you understand better now the principles of a project delivery life cycle. If you like what we do or want to see more or just have a chat, well, please like this video, comment on it, and above all, share this video with those that can actually take some advantage from it. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you back in one of my other videos. Till then,